Hi, this is Dr. Jane Pendleton with my husband, Dr. John Pendleton, and we are back with Maranatha Minutes, Chapter 42. So we're moving right along. So if everybody opens their Bible to Genesis chapter 42, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started.
Well, Pharaoh's had a dream. There's a famine in the land. And the father here, Jacob, feels lost. He's depressed. He's lost his son. And they're in the middle of a famine. Things are not looking good. In our lives, sometimes I think things don't look too good either. But the overriding story here is God is in control.
That's right.
And if you trust Him, you believe in Him, and He's made you a promise, He'll bring you through whatever you're going through. And this is where the brothers go down to Egypt.
That's right. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. You want to be Joseph?
Sure.
When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, but Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain for their famine in the land of Canaan. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. But he pretended to be a stranger and spoke to them harshly. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. He probably had his head shaved like the pharaohs and stuff. He probably had on the garb, they gave him the robe and the gold waistband. So,
He looked like an Egyptian.
He looked like an Egyptian. They didn't recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they again replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lived in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies. And this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brothers," means one of the members of the boys that came with the 10. "The rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them,
"Do this, and you shall live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay in prison, while the rest of you go and take the grain back to your starving household. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and that you may not die."
This they proceeded to do. They said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life. But we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." Their guilt is still revisiting them after all those years.
Yeah.
Reuben replied, "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an account for his blood." They did not realize that Joseph could understand them, since he was using an interpreter. But he obviously spoke their language. He was their brother. He had a good game plan going on for him, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was testing them. He turned away from them and began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. He was heartbroken. You know, they were feeling bad, somewhat bad about what they had done to him, but he missed out on being his father's favorite. He was missing out on his home, his mother, his brothers, the camaraderie of family. You know, he was sold into slavery and lived in prisons. They'd still done him great disservice. So he had bad feelings. We hold on to our feelings, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
He had Simon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and gave to them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of his sack. "My silver has been returned," he said to his brothers. "Here it is, in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other, trembling, and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him that all that had happened to them. They said, "The man who is lord over the land spoke harshly to us, and treated us though we were spying on the land. But we said to him, 'We are honest men, we are not spies. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan.' Then the man who is lord over the land said to us, 'This is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land.' As they were emptying their sacks, there in each man's sack, in his pouch, was full of silver. He gave back the money. You know, he couldn't charge his own father for food. He gave him free food. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened.
Or they knew they gave him the money, but
or they were testing him to see if he'd return them.
Yeah.
He was a test, maybe. Their father Jacob said to them, 'You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me.' Then Reuben said to his father, 'You may put both of my sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Entrust him to my care, and I will bring him back.' But Jacob said, 'My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you are taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow.'" And now that brings us to number 43. Well, let's discuss chapter 42 for a minute. So from man's point of view, how do you feel about his depression, about Jacob's depression after losing, continuing to losing more sons?
Well, everything is against me is a statement that's used here. And all of us feel from time to time that things are against us. But when we start feeling that everything is against us,
then you start feeling God is against you.
Yeah, that God is against you. He couldn't see the blessing of his 10 other sons, and his 11 other sons, actually, and grandsons. Benjamin he kept in hiding to protect him so that he wouldn't have the same fate. The New Testament concept that Paul says, and as you look through the Old Testament and the New Testament, that God works in all things together for the good, for those that love him and are called together according to his purpose. That God can take bad and turn it into good. So you're going to see in this story that God took a bad thing. You know, rivalry in the family, dissension, hatred, almost murder of Joseph. And
well, they didn't know they didn't kill him. They didn't know that.
They actually thought he was dead. He couldn't live through that.
But they didn't. Their guilt was starting to get to them. Well, you know, people start blaming God for their problems, and it's like I was saying before the camera died. Your path with Jesus Christ is a very narrow path, and the devil's just waiting for you to fall to the wayside. He's waiting for you to lose that faith with God. Remember, you're not rewarded for your bad deeds or for your works. You don't get in heaven by your works. You get in heaven by your faith. And your faith is a very narrow road. But just remember, you're not the one walking that road alone. Jesus Christ is carrying us on that road. And as long as we stay in faith, we will stay on that path. No matter what happens to us, God has not left us. He doesn't cause our problems. He's not testing us. Who's testing you is the person waiting in the darkness on the both sides of that path, ready to catch you, ready to tell you how God is deceiving you. So stay on the path of Christ, and I promise you, you won't get those feelings of deceit. God has a plan, and He makes good out of the bad. So the bad things that are happening to you, let Him work His magic. Stay in faith. Know that it's the Satan that's testing you. God's not testing you. Satan's testing you. God has a promise, and His promise is through His Son, Jesus Christ. It's only through the blood of Christ that we can get and be able to be with God and with His Son. And He left us a gift. He left us another gift. The gift is the Holy Spirit. So when you're reading the Bible, if something's telling you to do or to say something that's not in the Bible, then that's Satan. If something's telling you to do something and it's in the Bible and it's not against the Word of God, then that's probably God talking to you.
And there's a lot of examples in the Bible that, just like selling their brother into slavery.
Yes, that's right.
That really wasn't a good thing.
That was Satan.
Killing Cain. Cain killing Abel, his brother. Not a good.
So stay in faith. If you haven't found Christ, we just want to thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, be sure and leave a comment below, and we'll get to you ASAP. This is Dr. Jane Pendleton with my husband, Dr. John Pendleton. Blessings.
Love you.